Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and welcome back to my creative space. In today's video, I am going to be talking about some of my favorite books and comparing them to some of my favorite perfumes. This video is highly inspired by Emma from Perfumerism and her video that I think she posted a while back with her favorite books and the perfumes that she correlates with those books. I will link her original video down below, but she is the inspiration to this project. One of my friends sent to me that video quite a while ago, and I've just been sitting and thinking about some of my favorite perfumes in my collection and some of my favorite books and trying to put a list together. I have quite a few books on my list, and I will say that all the books that I have on here are ones that I've already read. And also, I am not a professional when it comes to describing perfume, so as I'm talking about them, I will have a picture of the perfume and then the notes that the website has in regards to those, but it's all going to be vibes here today. I am very excited to share some of these scents with you and my favorite books. So with that, let's get started with book number 1. The first book on my list is going to be On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and the perfume that I have matched to it is Harvest Season by The Nam. This one is a very warm, slightly floral, very fall-inspired scent to me. In regards to a fall scent, it's much more fresh than the very warm gourmandy kind of perfumes that I tend to smell during the fall season. But this one I really like and correlate to On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous because of the fact that there are themes of ancestral roots and explorations of coming of age within On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and our main character, Little Dog, reflecting on the history of his family in Vietnam and the roots of the war that happened in Vietnam and how that led to him being who he is. The exploration of roots is really encapsulated in the scent for me. For me, Harvest Season is very nostalgic in a way that I can't really explain. It kind of reminds me of my grandmother. Because this book is such an ancestral exploration, I think something that reminds me of something so nostalgic as my grandmother has to be correlated with this Vietnamese novel and how women in Little Dog's life have really built him as the person that he is. And I think the beauty of Harvest Season is that it really encapsulates that turning of a new cycle. Harvest season, obviously, is when crops are being harvested. In Vietnamese culture, we celebrate it as a harvest moon festival, and that celebration of things that are blossoming, things that are coming to fruition. And there are other kind of deeper warm notes as well that I think really encapsulates the feeling and almost nostalgic, heart-wrenching warmth that is in On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. So that is my first matchup for this video. If you do want to smell the Nam, which is a Vietnamese perfumery, they have a discovery set, which is why I have a little tiny one. Do check them out. I think some of their scents are really, really amazing. Book number 2 is going to be Assassin's Apprentice, and the scent that I'm correlating it to is Santal 33 by Le Labo. This actually isn't a scent that I personally wear. I got it in a little freebie thing. And the reason why I'm correlating it to Assassin's Apprentice is because it has this very woody, leathery smell. And in Assassin's Apprentice, we follow Fitz, who is being raised in the castle. He is the bastard son of one of the kingdom's princes, and he is being taught to be an assassin for the king of the Six Duchies, which is his grandfather. In this book specifically, as he's kind of learning how to be an assassin, he also works hand in hand with the stable master, who is his father's best friend, and we get so much description of the leather smell, the woody smell of the stables, and all of these very aromatic explanations that Robin Hobb has as Fitz is doing his work. But when I smell Santal 33, I'm like, this would be Fitz if he didn't have to be an assassin and have a miserable life. If he was kicking up his feet, he would be wearing Santal 33. The next book that I have is Babel by R.F. Kuang, and the perfume that I am correlating it to is L'Eau Papier by Diptyque. The one that I specifically have is actually from Oil Perfumery. They make oil perfumes, and their scents are inspired by very popular perfume brands. And so this one is a fragrance that's inspired by L'Eau Papier. So Babel follows Robin, who is being adopted by this man who brings him to the University of Oxford to study, basically to create keystones with his knowledge of the Cantonese language in order to make keystones to basically power things in the UK. There's a lot of depth and things that I'm missing, but it's been quite a bit since I've read this book. But there is a lot of sequences in here that talks about him studying with his cohort as they're learning different languages in order to create these keystones. And because of it being a dark academia and them being in these very library settings a lot of the time, L'Eau Papier has a very paper-inspired scent to it. For Oil Perfumery's take on L'Eau Papier, it is quite peppery and it has a very slight sweetness to it. And the reason why I correlate this with Babel is because of that studying aspect, them having their noses in books very consistently in this novel, but also that slight sweetness comes from the fact that there is a sort of found family dynamic between Robin and his cohort in this book, and I think that really encapsulates the found family dark academia vibe. Kind of smells like freshly printed paper to me. I'm pretty sure that L'Eau Papier translates to paper, and I think honestly any sort of dark academia library kind of book can be compared to L'Eau Papier by Diptyque. For me, L'Eau Papier and Babel go hand in hand with that dark academia nose in a book kind of theme going on here. The next category that I have are more horror books, and the first book I'm talking about is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang, and the perfume I correlate it with is Glossier You. In Natural Beauty, we follow our main character, who is not named, but she is this piano prodigy, and for some reasons we later discover she's no longer playing piano, and she's kind of going out there trying to find a job for herself in order to take care of her parents. And the job that she finds is in this beauty shop. And the beauty shop she works at sells all these cutting edge products and procedures in order to enhance the customer's beauty, making them a natural beauty. And so Glossier You is the one that I picked, as Glossier You is kind of described as a you but better kind of scent. For me, it's very sweet and musky, and it has a very hint of a floral. It's not a strong floral for me. There is a slight peppery scent to it that makes it kind of fresh and clean. This isn't one of those like you but better perfumes that you as the wearer can't smell. I do find when I wear it, I can smell the scent and it is present in there. It's not something that completely disappears into the background. It's a very enhanced version of like a clean smell, but because it has that musk, there is something there. And the reason why I correlate with the two is because of that theme of like being you but better and like more done up and things like that. And Glossier You has that kind of vibe where it's a no fuss kind of perfume. There isn't notes within this that are kind of battling with each other. It is a very mellow, very subtle perfume, but it does give off a very clean, very sophisticated scent. And so I think those two go together. Nothing horrifying about this smell here, but I think if the beauty salon had a perfume line in there, I think Glossier You would be one of those perfumes that would be available at the store. The next book that I have is Bunny by Mona Awad, and the perfume that I have for this one is Woodphoria by Boy Smell. So in Bunny, we follow our main character, Samantha, as she is going through her, I'm pretty sure it's her master's program for writing. And in her cohort, there is this group of women that call themselves the Bunnies. And she, at the beginning, finds them very abhorrent, very overly feminine. It makes her sick just thinking about them. But she ends up being invited to one of their smut salons, and she finds herself being embroiled in this little almost cult-like writing group that these women, the Bunnies, have. And the reason why I picked Woodphoria by Boy Smell One, I think Boy Smells as a brand name is so apt for Bunny if you know the themes in this and the exploration of the bunnies and the things that they do in the smut salon. I think just the company name in and of itself is so related to this, and I think it's so funny. But Woodphoria has a very sweet coconut leaning scent. It almost reminds me of something that one of the characters' baby doll would wear. It is very feminine and sweet, but there is a complexity and a mystery to it with the notes of like the woody smells that are in here. But it has this very cottagecore, sophisticated, I'm an English major kind of vibe. That makes sense. And I think that would be something that one of the bunnies would definitely love. It has such a complex scent profile to me. It is very coconut forward and very feminine, which I think on the surface the bunnies seem very feminine, very ditzy, not all there. But as you start smelling the perfume, there is more to unearth with all of the other woody notes that are put in here. And I think that perfectly encapsulates Bunny, as at the surface it seems pretty straightforward and clean cut, but as you continue reading the book, it just becomes this extreme fever dream. And I think with Woodphoria, it encapsulates that complexity in a scent that this book also encapsulates within these pages. The next book that I have is going to be Chlorine by Jade Song. The perfume that I have is Fukuk by Danam. In Chlorine, we follow our main character, Ren, who is a high school student, and she is going through some very complex things on with her family life. And so she ends up joining the swim team at her school as a form of escapism. But through that escapism, she finds herself being obsessed with becoming a mermaid and really being one with water. And the reason why I picked Fukuk is that this one is a very ocean-inspired scent. To me, it's quite aquatic. Not in like a chlorine way, but like a almost, if you've ever smelled like the Abercrombie store in like the early 2000s, it has that Abercrombie scent, much more diluted and not like burning your eyes kind of scent, but also a more sophisticated and more aquatic leaning way. I don't know, if you've ever smelled like an oceanic note perfume, I think you would understand what I'm talking about. But another reason why I picked Fukuk for Chlorine is that it has this kind of mysterious, smoky undertone to it that I don't know is in the notes, but to me it does have an almost burnt incense smell. Like if you've ever burnt an incense stick, that sort of smoky smell that comes from it on top of the scent that the stick has is really pushing forward in this perfume for me. And I think that really relates to Chlorine and the horror aspects that are in this book. It does have that very ocean forward scent, but there's also something mysterious about this perfume to me, and I think that really encapsulates the vibes and energy in Chlorine. Leaning on to a little bit more lighter reads, the next book that I have is Blood Mercy by Bella Roth, and the perfume that I have is Neroli 36 by Le Labo. In Blood Mercy, we follow Cassia and Leo. Cassia is the bastard daughter of the king, and Leo is this vampire. This is a more political leaning romantasy where we follow Cassia as she's trying to make a political connection with the vampires of this story, as she is trying to uncover a mystery about her sister. The dynamic between the romantic leads is an allies to friends to lovers. It's very sweet. But the reason why I picked Neroli 36 is that our main character Cassia really likes to garden. There is a lot of talks about her being in the garden, working with flowers and such. And she also has this thing about being very clean. And for me, Neroli 36 has that floral scent to it, but it's a very clean and fresh floral. And although it's not necessarily like a cassia flower that Cassia is named after, it does have that very fresh, clean floral. And I think if Cassia were to wear a perfume in the real world, it would be Neroli 36. The next book that I have is going to be Caught Up by Liz Tomford, and the perfume that I have is going to be Afternoon Delight by Replica. In Caught Up, we follow a single father nanny romance where our main character Miller is a pastry chef, and as she's trying to navigate and question where she wants to be in her career, her father proposes that she be the nanny of one of his players in his baseball team that he coaches for his son, as he's been going through nannies and doesn't trust anybody to take care of his son, and him being the coach of the team, who better to trust than his own daughter. The reason why I picked Afternoon Delight is that it is a very pastry forward scent. In the notes, you'll see that Madeline Accord is one of those notes. I do understand the Madeline kind of scent, but for me, Afternoon Delight kind of smells like an ice cream parlor, that very sweet vanilla forward scent that is happening in here. And with the Madeline Accord and that vanilla, to me it smells almost like a waffle cone. So if you've ever been into an ice cream shop and they're making fresh waffle cones, that's what Afternoon Delight smells like for me. The reason why I equate it with Caught Up is because of the fact that Miller is a baker, and there are quite a few scenes in here where she's baking quite a few sweet treats in here, and so that's why I'm picking Afternoon Delight for Caught Up. The next book that I have is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and the perfume that I picked is Tangerine Boy by Fleur. In Just for the Summer, we follow our main characters, Emma and Justin, where they meet on the Am I an Asshole Reddit thread, and they find out that they both have this similar curse where when they date somebody, once they break up, that person that they dated ends up finding the love of their life in the next relationship that they have. And so they propose to each other a sort of just for the summer dating experiment where they date each other seriously for the summer, and once they break up, they'll end up finding their forever person. With Tangerine Boy by Fleur, it is a very citrus-focused scent, as you would assume with the name Tangerine in the title. It is very fresh and bright, but to me when I wear it, there is this slight bitter undertone to it that is very akin to the scent of the skin of a tangerine. I feel like when you smell that, there is a slight bitter note, but not something that is overwhelming or overpowering. And I think for a perfume to capture that entire essence of a tangerine is so interesting to me. I really don't understand how these chemists come up with these scents, but I really enjoy that it really encapsulates that energy of a tangerine. And the reason why I picked that for Just for the Summer is that, honestly, for this to be a romance, it is quite heavy. Our two main characters deal with a lot of trauma in regards to their relationships with their mother figures in their life. And there are moments in this book that are quite sad and hard to read, as Emma is dealing with her mother being back in her life and being this very almost parasitic type relationship to her, and it's really causing her a lot of stress that impacts her relationships with other people, hence the sort of bitter notes in this perfume. But despite there being such a heavy storyline in regards to these characters dealing with their trauma, there is so much bright and fresh energy when it comes to the scenes with Emma and Justin together, and the dates that happen in here are such a breath of fresh air. And I think Tangerine Boy has that energy where there are some complex notes going on in here, but the main forward focus and point of view in this perfume is that bright citrusy smell. And I think in Just for the Summer, it has those very bittersweet moments, but in the end, there are these very, very bright moments that kind of overshadow the hardships that are going on within this book. The next book that I have is going to be People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and the perfume that I picked is Ilio by Diptyque. So for People We Meet on Vacation, we follow Alex and Poppy, and there's this sort of 10-year timeline where we are following all the vacations that they've had with each other. It's like a once a year kind of thing. And in the beginning of the book, we are seeing Poppy and Alex go on vacation once again with each other after not speaking for I think like maybe a year or two, and it being kind of weird and awkward between them. And Poppy is very determined to kind of reform the relationship that they have together. This has so much heavy summer vacation energy in here, and getting to see the glimpses of their vacations and all like the fun, silly, romantic moments in here is so bright and refreshing. And the reason why I picked Ilio is one, I think this is like a Diptyque summer exclusive. It has a very clean, fresh, and sweet summer scent to it. I think prickly pear is the main focus in this one, but it almost smells like a fresh, sweet bubble bath to me. I don't know if that makes sense, but there is something very summery about Ilio. Anytime I feel like I need a boost in my day, I will wear Ilio, even no matter the season. And I think because People We Meet on Vacation covers so many of these like fun trips that they have, Ilio just has that very fun, bright kind of scent to it, and that's why I picked it for People We Meet on Vacation. And for the last book of this video, I have a manga series, Sign of Affection by Sue Morishita, and the perfume that I picked is Vanilla Musk by Nemat. In A Sign of Affection, we follow our main character Yuki, who is deaf, and she encounters our main love interest Itsumi on a subway where somebody is trying to communicate with her in a foreign language, and she's having difficulty trying to help this person out. And Itsumi comes in and helps her out with this English-speaking patron on the subway, and they kind of have an encounter, and they find out that they go to college together. Itsumi is somebody who is very interested in language and culture, and he has never met somebody who communicates via sign language. So he is very interested in being friends with Yuki and how she communicates with other people and how she sees the world through sign language. As he's becoming friends with her and getting to know her in that way, the two start gaining romantic feelings for one another. This book is so sweet, so wholesome, and anytime I feel a little bit down in life, I pick up A Sign of Affection and it immediately brings warm, cozy feelings to me, and that is why I picked Vanilla Musk. I mean, very straightforward vanilla scent, but because of that musk added in there, it is very cozy, very warm. It has a lot of depth, and this is a scent that really lasts all day because of it being an oil formula. But I think this just immediately encapsulates A Sign of Affection for me because of that cozy, warm feeling that it has. And this is just the epitome of like very cozy, very warm scent for me. And also, it's just a very straightforward, no fluff kind of scent. There's only really two things that are going on in here. And with A Sign of Affection, that kind of is how it is with the character work. Itsumi and Yuki don't really have that much of a complication between the two. Yes, they're kind of struggling communicating in that Itsumi is learning sign language so that Yuki is more comfortable, but they have such clear communication with each other despite the differences in communication style that they have. And they're a couple that really work to get to know each other, and it's just so straightforward and so sweet. And I think that is exactly what I would say about Vanilla Musk. Very straightforward, very sweet. But with that, that is the end of this video. I hope that I described the books and the perfumes in this video well enough for you to get the idea. If anything, I hope that the graphs that I made for you also give you a better idea of what the perfumes smell like. But this was such a fun and out of the norm video for me. I really enjoyed making this list and getting to smell all of the perfumes that I have and trying to correlate it with the books that I've read and that I've loved. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you've made it this far, I would love to know, what kind of perfume do you like? I think for me, getting to look through the stuff that I have, I am a sweet kind of gal, but I also do like a pepper undertone. I think a lot of these ones do have that peppery scent to them in the notes. But if you've made it this far and you don't have anything else to say, surely there is a perfume bottle. If not a perfume bottle, maybe we can put like little pastries because I think that is very correlated with vanilla for me. But with that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!